Hi guys, and welcome to pole prehab, or at least that's what I think I'm calling this. Essentially what this class is going to be is a series of movements, exercises, resistance, small weighted exercises that you can use to help condition your shoulders, specifically focusing on particularly focusing on your rotator cuff and your subscap and your scap and your supra and all of those muscles in your shoulder that help keep your shoulder functioning. First off, a disclaimer, obviously I'm neither a physio nor a PT nor a medical professional, so please take everything I say with a grain of salt, do your own research, but this is essentially the grouping of exercises that over the last year almost I've been working at consistently, basically every week, with a PT and with physio advice that has helped my rotator cuff come back from the brink of extinction. I have injured both my rotator cuffs. I've felt pain in different areas, but this rotator cuff, my right one, which is the one that I'm still rehabbing at the moment, has been injured for 2 years, and I've been rehabbing it for about a year. Probably wouldn't have been injured for as long if I had started rehabbing it earlier. More importantly, if I had done prehab and actually had a better understanding of what I was supposed to be doing with my shoulders. A lot of the time in pole, the only thing you get told is shoulders back and down from the ears. So you go. But what are you actually trying to do when you do that? The goal of rotating your shoulders back and down is to try and engage your lats and your scaps, tuck everything in nice and tight to engage, so you're not ideally taking over with your traps or other muscles, and making sure that everything's doing its job. So I'm not just rolling back, I'm thinking about engaging down, keeping my rib cage in, tucking everything in and down. So now I can feel straight away all of these muscles, I'll point at them with an arrow on the screen because I can't quite reach, are all nice and engaged. So what we're going to go through is a series of exercises that you can do to basically train your body to know where these muscles are, so hopefully when you are doing things at pole you don't injure yourself. I would maybe do a couple of these as a warm-up before you do like really heavy shoulder sessions at pole, or you can just do it a couple of times a week to kind of keep things in check. As I said, take everything with a grain of salt and just consult some more professional people, perhaps Karina for example, or other PTs that you know, if you're unsure of what you're doing is correct. But these are pretty easy, pretty foolproof movements that if you follow along and you're thinking about engaging the right places, you should be okay. In terms of equipment, a weight. At the moment I've only got my 3 and my 5. I will be using a 3 for the examples, but normally I would use a 1 or a 2 for a lot of these things. Just really lightweight, so you could even use a can or a drink bottle, just something to have a bit of weight in some sort of band situation. So this is like a booty band. This is a TheraBand that you can get from physios. I assume you can get these other places, and these are like those Kmart bands. This is just the lighter one, just to add resistance into the movements that we are doing. And then also, if you do have a peanut or a singular lacrosse ball, or even like just a solid tennis ball, just something to help either with grip or release for these exercises. So to start out with, my current PT basically always gets me to release my traps first. I have very dominant upper traps, and that's basically been entirely the cause of my arm injuries. So a lot of the time we spend just releasing up here. So traps, upper traps being here, but your traps do travel further down your back. See image inserted here. But these guys are the most dominant ones, they're the biggest, so they're the ones that we tend to use. They get really nice and beautiful and defined with pole, but we don't want them to be taking over. So if you've got a peanut or a lacrosse ball, you can do this on the ground or against the wall. I'll just do it against the wall so you can see. Find a spot that feels a little bit icky, a little bit sore, and just press into it, maybe roll around on it a little bit. You can do some movements up and down with your arm, just to help release out that shoulder. So go ahead and do this for a couple of minutes, just until you feel like things are released out a bit. Make sure you do both sides, and then join back in and we will start going through some exercises. So all of these exercises I'm going to show you in no particular order whatsoever, and you can do a combination of whatever you like. For all of these exercises, I'm just going to go through a couple of reps explaining what I'm doing as I'm doing it for them, and then you can basically take that information and do 2 to 3 sets, 8 to 10 reps on each side, whatever feels comfortable for you, just to save this from being an incredibly long video that needs to be uploaded and sent and edited and saved by everyone. So we're going to start off with one that is specifically to help towards conditioning for twisted grip. So this is just working on engaging your scap, so your shoulder blade into the right place in twisted grip. So twisted grip being that funky guy that we do, can't really see, oh, there you go, that funky guy that we do like that. So both my knees cracked when I stood up, that was fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a peanut, anything, fist your hand, put your hand into a fist, good lord, just anything to grab onto, and I'm just going to turn it so it's in that twisted grip angle. I'm going to think about keeping my shoulder down and engaging my scap when I turn, so that's rib cage in, engaging my scap, hold it and bring it back, and just repeat that. So what that looks like from the back. So hopefully you can see how through here I'm not just turning idly, letting my shoulder lift up, I am keeping my shoulder blade down, tucked against my back, engaging these muscles here to rotate and keep it down. So this should also be not using your trap. If you're not engaging your scap, you will find that you'll feel your trap getting hard and moving. So you want to just be using the back muscles. So hopefully, I think that was about 8 of them. I find very quickly that I do start to feel this in my scap and in my back. Just wakes everything up. I find also with my left side it engages quicker and correctly versus my right side, but will fatigue quicker. That's because my right side muscles have been doing things wrong for a very long time, but it is my dominant side, so they do have more stamina. So go ahead and do those and then get on to the next exercise. So the next exercise is for your supraspinatus, hopefully I said that right, which is essentially the muscle that kind of runs along under your trap here. This is part of the rotator cuff, which is made up of 4 muscles, I believe. Don't mind me just trying to kick things off the floor. So essentially for this one I'm going to do it with a band, and then you can also do it with a weight. So this is a banded version, is the physio exercise I was given, and then the weighted version is the one that the PT version gave me. You just basically want to stand on that band, thumb facing down. If here is directly horizontal, flat out from my body like a wing, if you will, I'm going to bring that about 45 degrees. I'm going to keep tailbone tucked under, rib cage in, lats engage, scap back and down, pull up and down, and you're just going to aim to do 8 to 10 of these and then repeat. Thinking about engaging that whole time. If you're finding that you're starting to engage other things, come out, give it a wiggle, reset, get back into position and go. This is what that looks like from the back. So once you've done 8 to 10, 3 sets, 2 to 3 sets, repeat. We'll move on to just showing you what the weighted version is. So this is if you've got like nice strong shoulders that didn't feel like it was too strenuous, you could add this one in as well, or you could just add it in if you like. So grabbing a weight, I did this with a 2 originally. I did it with a 3 when I did my PT session virtually. The 3 killed me, let me just tell you, but in a good way. So basically we're going to do side raises and then 45-degree raises, focusing again on keeping the shoulder back and down, rib cage nice and tight, scap glued to your back, and at the end of the set, hold for 5 to 10 seconds. That's the part that really kills me. So Coming out to the side, keeping everything nice and engaged. Remembering to breathe. And I'm just going to hold. And down. And then you can repeat the same motion, but coming out to 45 degrees. If you are going to come out, try and give it a little bit of a twist as well. If you want to do a little bit more rotation, engaging through that rotation with your twisted grip, or you can just keep it at that 45 degrees. So this next exercise is a really easy one. This is another physio one that I was given. This one is for your subscap, I believe, so beneath your scap or your shoulder blade. A really weird hard place to engage because it's tucked on and under, but this one is belly presses. So essentially all you do is you press your hand into your belly and think about engaging back here. So I roll back and down, I tuck everything in, and I push. And I feel this generally down through my arm here. Release, and repeat. But the more you do it, or at least when I was very consistently doing this, I've gotten a little bit lazy with this one. Don't tell my physio. I started to feel it less through here, and I started to feel it more back here when this got stronger and better at engaging. So this is a really good one to be doing. I'll do it with my left side so you can see the difference between a strong and a weak subscap. So immediately this one's less through here and it's starting to come more in here. So that is another great one that you can do. And because you're just pressing on your belly, you can just waiting for the microwave, sitting at work because you don't want to do your job because you're bored, watching the TV. You can do it kind of anywhere, and it's just like a really nice easy one to just do. Repeat, repeat, and then before you know it, you've straightened it up to subscap. Next exercise is one that you would normally do laying on the floor, face to the ground movement. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to do it standing up, but exact same thing, just laying on the floor. Essentially it's V to Y's, Y's to W's, making letters with our arms, but thinking about engaging our shoulders. You do sometimes do this in class, you'll go through this motion, but a lot of the time you won't be focusing on keeping your lats engaged, shoulders down, everything tucked in nice and tight and engaging. You tend to just sort of move through the motion without actually thinking about what you're doing, or at least I'm speaking from experience from going from just doing it in a general class to doing it with a PT and learning what I'm supposed to be engaging and then applying it in class. A lot of these movements you do slower when you're doing them for prehab purposes, because you're wanting to really focus on engaging the muscles. So through whatever series you like of those letters, essentially what you are doing is, here would be your W, so you want to think about engaging your lats, tucking the shoulders down, keeping everything in line. You want to keep those lats engaged that whole way up. It's very, very hard and very hard to talk while doing. So hopefully you could see there that motion, and I was squeezing for dear life with my lats. I find it almost a little bit hard to breathe sometimes doing this one because I'm squeezing so hard and then also usually laying on my chest, which makes breathing hard generally. But these are so good. When I first started doing my shoulder rehab, there would be a point where I would get to where immediately my trap would pop up, trap, back to subscap, back to lats, back to everything else engagement. So I'd go engage, unengage, engage again. And over time, working on all of these exercises, I can now keep everything nice and low and engaged, thinking about engaging, trying to not let my trap pop up, and back down. So, doing those, laying on the floor, 8 to 10, repeat. This one again, this really, like, for some reason exhausts me specifically, and I find this one like very hard to breathe and I'm really tired after I do it. So just do as many as you feel comfortable doing. Obviously if you're finding you're not engaging things anymore, or it's just like not feeling right, something's pinching, something's pulling weird, stop. Don't do it, it's not good. But yeah, so another sort of similar motion that you can do, you can either use like a stronger band or a TheraBand for this, or even maybe like a stick if you have it. Same sort of thing. You can just see my hands, so I'm just going to bend down. Same sort of thing. Squeezing back and down, or coming in front, squeezing back and down, whatever feels good. You could also come back this way as well. I tend to find that one is a lot harder to get here engaging, plus a lot of the time the pull is pulling down motion that we're doing rather than necessarily this way sort of pulling. So that's another option as well. That goes from your Y to your W, but gives you something to pull and engage against and resist against, which might make it easier for you to engage. I tend to find certain movements I need more weight to feel like I can engage my muscle versus just like idly engaging on its own. But that is something that I'm learning to do now, that it's getting stronger and I'm getting more awareness of where these muscles are. So we're just going to do one more weighted thing, and then I will go over to the stair banister and I will show you all the things that you can use your band tied to something to do. So this next one is kind of like the only one that I have that's like a weighted like shoulder exercise, kind of typical to what you would see in the gym, that doesn't necessarily involve bands or anything else. So this is like a military press, but instead this is called an Arnold press. You may have come across this if you go to the gym quite a bit, but this is moving a little bit more up into this part of your shoulder, rather than all just focusing on back through here like you would with a normal military press. Essentially all it is you're coming through, up and back, and when you're going through this, trying to not let your shoulder come forward, keeping everything nice and tucked off and squared off. So the weight, I would normally do this sitting because I am lazy and like to sit down, and I like to hold my trap when I do this. A lot of these motions, if I have a hand free, I will hold the muscle that I'm either trying to engage or not let engage. So in this case, my trap. I like to hold him, make sure that everything is doing what it's supposed to be doing. This next one, you're going to want a band and you're going to want something to tie it around, so I'm just going to use my stair banister. If you've got a pole, a nice sturdy table leg, just basically anything you can tie it around. And you can also do this with like the Kmart bands as well. They might just be a little bit more resistance than what you would necessarily used to be working with, but that's okay. So this is going to be internal and then external rotations. So rotating the shoulder internally and then externally from the home axis, if you will. So this being neutral, coming internal, coming external. So what this looks like, elbow tucked to the side, shoulder back, down, scap engaged, lats engaged, ribcage in, coming internal. And then to do external, you'll be going away from your body. So if I was going to do external on my right shoulder, I would have to be turned this way, so it then is moving away from my chest. Same thing, everything nice and engaged, tucked, squeezed, and going out. You can also alternatively do this one with a weight laying down. So if you pretend I was laying on my side, you can do external and internal as well. Or you can prop your arm up on a chair, a couch, bringing it down, bring it up. So that gets you a little bit more of this motion versus this motion, but you can also do pull down and pull up as well as an option to move through some external and internal rotation. This one you can do standing or sitting. Essentially what we're doing is a lat pull down, so that will be pulling like this against the band, engaging your lats. So for these guys all the way down here, can't quite reach, but around the side. So I'll do this with my left side since that's facing you. And I'm just thinking about pelvis tucked under, squeezing, hoping the band doesn't come and ping in my face, and engaging. If you can tie this to something horizontal, it's a little bit easier. That way it doesn't go spiraling down the stair banister as this just has, but you get the gist. So I'm just going to turn this way and just show you what that motion is with my shoulder. So pulling, squeezing my lats down, engaging, and then release. Repeat. So this is one that usually is what gets my lats firing the quickest, and also gets me feeling like my scap and everything is tucked in nice and tight and ready to go. So this in combination with the internal and externals that I showed you with this band on the banister are kind of the first three things I would normally do before I start doing anything else, just to kind of get the whole area warm, generally warm and firing. So those more focused movements, everything's sort of ready and raring to go. So this next one is unnamed. I believe my PT called it something external scap angel wing. I don't know. Essentially this is something that she found, I believe she said Circ Physio online, and essentially what this is like your typical internal external rotation that we went through, that physios would give you, most people give you, but more focused on aerial performance, because we tend to be above rather than to the side. So taking a booty band, a TheraBand, whatever you have, hand in front of your heart. You can keep it here. I like to fist the band around because I don't want to lose it and ping off and hit my face. Like with everything, by this point I hope you're picking up, scap engaged, ribcage in, feel like maybe tuck your pelvis. Try not to let your band go flying. Out to the side, as squared off as you can get, and just go as high as you can, hold for a few seconds, and down. You can see my little arm shaking in her boots. It's because this is a very hard motion. I usually do about 3 to 4 and then I need to shake it out and start again. This is a new motion for me. This is very difficult, but I find that when I do get it in the right place and I am engaging my scap and my lats properly, oh, she feels it. She feels it. So those are all the exercises that I had to share with you today. Hopefully this all made sense and you gathered the gist from this video. Essentially what we're aiming to do is keep everything down, engaged, tucked in, squeezing, doing its job, so we don't overload the other muscles, namely for me my trap, and cause injuries. So any combination of these a couple of times a week. This is something you can be doing when you're in lockdown as well, if you have the equipment to basically keep things in check. So when you do go back to the studio, you don't jump in head first and fuck yourself up. Don't recommend doing it. It hurts. But in all seriousness, as someone who has injured both their rotator cuffs and has been dealing with the pain that comes with rotator cuff injuries for about 3 years now, because I did them 1 year apart, I really hope that you found this helpful and that you and yourself won't injure your shoulders, because your shoulders are super important, and unfortunately if you do injure them, you can bring them back up to almost 100%, but they will never be 100% the way that they were, and you will always probably be needing to do some form of rehab to keep it in check. But in saying that, I believe we should probably all be doing that anyway, because let's be honest, our bodies aren't supposed to do what they do when we do pole, so let's try and help those bodies be as healthy and as strong as they can be. And this is just a little snippet of the things that I found have both helped me immensely in terms of rehabilitation for my shoulders, and also just general strengthening. So I basically, like, all of this in combination is the reason why I'd say I got my deadlift as inconsistent as she is. So if it gives you something to aim towards, there's something to aim towards. If it's just to help keep yourself healthy, there's that too. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, yeah, thanks for watching.